such a nature that it is an inherent part of the entity's working capital. It has to be exercised on every plane, and again cyclic action is the law, and hence rebirth again and again is the method of exercise. When the innate conscious faculty of every unit of consciousness has become coordinated as part of the equipment of the Logos on every plane of the solar system, then, and only then, will cyclic evolution cease, will rotary movement on every plane of the cosmic physical plane be of such a uniform vibration as to set up action on the next cosmic plane, the astral. 3. The third idea involved is that of the two types of cycles. 1. Rotation on the axis. This is to be seen whether we are dealing with the minute atom of substance, with the planet revolving on its axis, with the rotation of the causal body, or with the rotation of the solar system. A. In relation to the human being, this might be considered as the rotation of the various sheaths around the central consciousness during any one incarnation. B. In relation to a heavenly man, it might be considered as the rotation of a globe within a chain, or the period of one incarnation. C. In relation to a solar logos, it might be considered as one complete revolution of the sun in space, with all that is included within the ring pass knot. 2. Rotation around an orbit. This is the revolution of a sphere of life, not only on its axis, but along a spheroidal path or orbit around a central point. A. In connection with man, this might be considered as the revolution of the wheel of life, or the passage of an entity through the three lower planes down into incarnation and back again. B. In connection with the heavenly man, it might be considered as the cycle, which we call a round, in which the life of the heavenly man cycles through all the 7 globes. C. In connection with the solar logos, it is the complete revolution of the solar system around its cosmic center. It is to be noted at this point, that the ideas, dealt with in connection with cyclic evolution, cannot be posited apart from the concept of consciousness. The ideas of time, of space, and of activity, from the point of view of the occultist, can only be conceived as relative to some conscious entity, to some thinker. Time to the occultist is that cycle, greater or lesser, in which some life runs some specific course, in which some particular period begins, continues, and ends, in connection with the awareness of some entity, and is recognized only as time when the participating life has reached a considerable stage of awareness. Time has been defined as a succession of states of consciousness. 117 Secret Doctrine says: 1. The universe is in reality, but a huge aggregation of states of consciousness. S. D. I. 633. I. 70,626. 2. Spirit and consciousness are synonymous terms. S. D. I. 43, 125, 349, 350, 592, 593. 3. Every atom in the universe is endowed with consciousness. S. D. I. 105. I. 709, 742. 4. 6 types of consciousness, as embodied in the kingdom of nature on the 5 planes of human evolution. S. D. I. 123. I. 678. A. The mineral kingdom. 1. Intelligent activity. All atoms show ability to select, to discriminate intelligently under the law of attraction and repulsion. S. D. I. 295. B. Vegetable kingdom. 2. Intelligent activity plus embryo sensation, or feeling. C. Animal kingdom. 3. Intelligent activity, sensation plus instinct, or embryo mentality. S. D. I. 573, 574. These 3 embody the subhuman consciousness. D. Human consciousness. 4. Intelligent activity, love or perfected feeling or realization and will, or intelligent purpose. The three aspects. SD, I, 215, 231. S. D, I, 552. I, 579. This is self-consciousness, the middle point. S. D, I, 297. E. Spiritual consciousness. 5. Buddhic realization. The unit is aware of his group. The separated unit identifies himself with his ray or type. S. D, I, 572. I, 183, 623. F. Atmic consciousness. 6. The consciousness of the unit of the septenary solar system. S. D, I, 673. I, 741. These two embody super-consciousness. The seventh type embraces them all and is God consciousness. S. D, I, 740. Note. Study also SD, I, 300, 301, 183, 221, 623. SD, I, 32. Note, 741, 552. Note. S. D, I, 573, 574,558, 557, 584.15, and it therefore may be studied from the point of view of A. Logoic consciousness, or the successive states of divine realization within the solar sphere. B. Planetary consciousness, or the consciousness of a heavenly man as he cycles successively through the scheme. C. Causal consciousness, or the successive expanding of the intelligent awareness of a human being from life to life. D. Human consciousness, or the awareness of a man on the physical plane, and progressively on the emotional and the mental planes. E. Animal, vegetable and mineral consciousness, which differs from the human consciousness in many particulars, and primarily in that it does not coordinate, or deduce and recognize separate identity. It resembles human consciousness in that it covers the response to successive contacts of the units involved during their small cycles. F. Atomic consciousness, demonstrating through successive states of repulsion and attraction. In this last definition, lies the key to the other states of consciousness. An atom revolves upon its axis. In its revolution it comes within the field of activity of other atoms. These it either attracts and swings into its own field of operation, or it repulses and drives them outside its range of activity, causing separation. One thing to be borne in mind in the concept of mutual attraction, is the preservation of identity in cohesion. A human being in objective manifestation likewise revolves upon his axis, or around his central point, his mainspring of animation. This brings him within the range of activity of other men, other human atoms. This similarly either tends to cooperation or cohesion, or to separation or repulsion. Again, it must be borne in mind that even in cohesion identity is preserved. A heavenly man, through the form of a planetary chain, similarly revolves upon his axis, and a like phenomenon may be observed. A planet repulses a planet similarly charged, for it is a known law that like particles repel each other, but occultly it is a known law that they will eventually attract each other as the vibration becomes sufficiently strong. A negative planet will be attracted by a positive, and so on through all forms. This is the manifestation of sex in substance of every kind, from the tiny atom in the body to the vast planetary chains, and this is the basis of activity. Radiatory activity is simply the interplay between male and female, and this can be seen in the physical atom of the scientist, among men and women, and in the vaster atom of the solar system as it vibrates with its cosmic opposite. We might, therefore, consider time as that process of activity, or that progression in development, wherein the indwelling consciousness is seeking its opposite, and coming under the law of attraction, which leads to atomic, human, planetary, spiritual, solar and cosmic marriage. This idea is comparatively simple in relation to a human being, and can be seen in daily demonstration in his contacts with other men. These contacts are governed, for instance, very largely by his likes and dislikes. All these attractions and repulsions are under law, and their cause exists in form itself. The emotion of like or of dislike is nothing else but the realization by the conscious entity of the swinging into his magnetic radius of an atomic form which he is led, by the very law of his own being, to either attract or repulse. Only when the form is transcended, and spirit seeks out spirit, will the phenomena of repulsion cease. This will be the inevitable finale at the cessation of solar evolution, and it will bring about pralaya. The duration of the interplay, the period of the search of spirit for spirit, and the vibratory process necessitated by the utilization of the form, this we call time, whether in connection with the man, a planetary logos, or the deity. Space, again, is included in the idea of consciousness, and its utilization of matter. Space, for the logos, is literally the form wherein his conscious activities and purposes are worked out. The solar ring pass not. The space wherein the planetary logos works out his plans is similarly as much of solar space as his consciousness is developed enough to use. Man again repeats the process, and his ring pass not is included in the radius of his consciousness, and may be very circumscribed, as in the case of the little evolved, or may be inclusive of a portion of planetary space of great extent, and even in the case of the very highly evolved may begin to touch the periphery of the sphere of influence of the planetary logos in whose body he is a cell. Space for the atom, for instance, the atom in the physical body of man, will be the radius of the form in which is found the greater center of consciousness of which it is a part, and it will be both attracted and repulsed, attracted and built into the form of the greater life, yet repulsed and thereby prevented from moving from a certain point within that form. We have here dealt a little with time and space in their relation to a specific center of consciousness. We have seen that they are simply forms of ideas to express the cyclic activity of an entity. The subject is exceedingly abstruse, due to the low stage of the human intelligence, which is as yet so occupied with the objective or material side of manifestation that the attraction existing between spirit and spirit is little more than a concept. When more of the human family have their center of consciousness in the ego, and hence are busy with the work of repulsing matter, and with the withdrawal of spirit from form, then only will the transmutative process be comprehended, then only will time, as known in the three worlds, be transcended, and then only will space, as manifested to man through the three lower planes or the 18 subplanes, be found to be a barrier. The same statement can be predicated of the seven logoi and of the solar logos, extending the idea to other planes, solar and cosmic. So also can it be narrowed down to the subhuman, and to the involutionary lives,